I would like to welcome you all to this IFS conference 2012. As always, it's wonderful to have so many people from so many countries in the same place at the same time. And I'm pretty sure that there will be a lot of inspiring and interesting and learning meeting during these days. The program for this evening is that we will listen to the former Minister of Education and Culture, Bengt Göransson. He will tell us a little about this house that belongs to the Workers' Educational Organization. We will also hear a little about the history of the settlements, and we will hear it from Claire Gelholy, CEO from Cambridge House, and Ulla Bergqvist, that is former president of Fritidsforum and member of the IFS board. But first, I'd like to welcome our beloved President of IFS, Mr. Michael Zisser.
I come to IFS conferences because back in New York, they don't use the term beloved. I've tried, it just doesn't work. I want to thank the people that put together this wonderful conference and also arranged for the weather, which so far has been great. Eva, Stefan, Lisa, Ronnie, Frida from Stockholm, and Melissa and Rachel from New York. So thanks for... And before I actually read the statement, I so rarely write these things ahead of time, I want to acknowledge right from the beginning that what just happened inside the dining room is exactly what we expect and hope happens at IFS conferences, which is to have people talk with each other, meet each other, share with each other. That's what this organization is about. That's what these conferences are about. It's great to start that way with people exchanging. So spend the next 4 or 5 days talking with people who you do not know and visiting sites which might be a little different than what you normally would see, because that's really what we're after and hope to accomplish. So welcome from IFS. We are, unfortunately, living in a time where the basic social contract between governments and their citizens is being changed in very profound ways. And in almost every case, the emerging contract limits and reduces the investment of government in the well-being of many segments of the population. Governments are shrinking the public role in balancing the interests of private enterprise with social development. They are favoring more austere economic principles, and they are asking people with minimal resources to assume a greater burden in meeting their own basic human needs. Several generations characterized by the pursuit of increased equity within a society, of narrowing the gap between the haves and have-nots, and of building a common social infrastructure are being reversed. If this was a conference of economists or government officials, rather than people dedicated to the building of stronger communities, we would be agreeing that Keynesian economics is in retreat and the economic order based on limited government intervention during difficult economic times is winning out. Even though we are now seeing changing political currents and some election pushback in France, the Netherlands, and even some areas of Germany, in which the austerity philosophy is being challenged, these are not the best of times for the values and principles in which most of us believe. The accounts in the newspapers are ominous. England is now experiencing its second recession in just a few years, and the sector apparently most affected is the one representing the non-for-profit community. Italy, Spain, France, and possibly other countries have had their credit ratings lowered. The Netherlands has been in the process of redesigning and cutting back on public sector involvement in social issues, giving the positive spin that enhancing social responsibility of those in need is an innovative strategy. In America, no matter who wins the election in November, the public national dialogue has shifted tremendously over the past few years. We know that our major entitlement programs like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, programs similar to what are offered in Europe, though perhaps not to the same scale of depth, will have to be reduced. Many of what we call discretionary programs are also facing reductions, like programs for children, youth, seniors, job development, and community economic development. In New York City, among other reductions in support, more than 35,000 children will lose their places in after-school programs, as will more than 10,000 preschool children in subsidized care. And for the most part, these reductions are not due entirely to a stagnant economy, but instead grow out of a strong resistance to maintaining or increasing tax burdens on all parts of the population. Is there a positive, uplifting story here to be told as we begin this conference? For many of us, this has become a time for creativity, for innovation, for taking a fresh new look at old and current problems. You will hear many of these initiatives at the conference sessions, and the tours will give us visible examples of quality program initiatives. But wouldn't it be wonderful if creativity came with more resources rather than less? Wouldn't it be better to innovate from strength rather than from survival mode? Wouldn't a fresh look at old problems be more successful if there was the political will and force to actually solve some critical challenges? The most important and rewarding immediate positive story is that we are all here together, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the settlement movement in Sweden. We are here to learn from each other, to share with each other, and to explore the richness of this wonderful city. The last time I was in Stockholm was almost 40 years ago. Do you hear that, staff? 40 years ago. My postgraduate school trek across most of Europe. I had just finished earning my advanced degree in urban planning and had to visit a city and country so well known for being ahead of its time in integrating social and physical planning. The world is so different today in most ways, far more prosperous, more fixed up, more sophisticated, more international in scope, more interdependent, and more vulnerable to what happens elsewhere in a global economy. Yet we still look to Sweden to be at the center of innovation in areas of critical importance to all of us. Why is the International Federation of Settlements and Community Centers more important today than ever before? And why do we still find so much value in meeting together each year in a different part of the world? First, the major values which helped found and shape our field still hold true. We believe in the personal strengths present in our neighbors and communities. We believe in empowering residents and communities to take charge of their futures. We believe in building stronger communities from all perspectives, including quality programs, comprehensive services, and availability of sufficient resources. We believe all people are entitled to the same quality of life, irrespective of income or background. We believe in equity, equality of opportunity, and access to the political process. We believe that services and resources need to be integrated and seamless to be successful. Second, more than ever before, we realize that much of what we do is fundamentally about the distribution of power within society. The word power might frighten us a bit because of how it is frequently used, or even more frequently, misused. But it is the right word nonetheless. We are fighting the same battles everywhere, irrespective of country, or what we call ourselves, or what model characterizes our endeavors. Third, common voices are better than single voices when it comes to exercising power, shaping our message, being heard, and ensuring that we have a seat at the table in important discussions. Sometimes it is better to be more loud than polite, more forceful rather than civil. The expression we use in America, and which I've heard elsewhere, is to speak truth to power. And now we have the advantage of new forms of social media to have our voice heard, though we must be careful of this newfound means of organization. Fourth, our movement has survived and flourished for over 128 years as part of progressive social welfare movements, as reflected in this important anniversary. Our model has stood the test of time, even with the many changes which have happened in the political, social, and economic arenas. We've lived this long. We know we will be around even when governments change and economies evolve. It is imperative that we collectively understand how and why we have survived when so much else has changed, how we both adapt and lead. Fifth, we are and must be the training ground for new leaders in every part of the world. These leaders must come from all strata of society, professional and non-professionals, immigrants and long-term residents, men and women, old and young. Finally, we have the capacity and dedication to find and go to places which are still in need of our model but are currently disconnected. Many of you have reached out to other countries and continents utilizing your skills and resources to assist people and communities in need. You are all, to a great extent, on a mission. It has often been said of people who work in settlement housing community centers that we share a calling. In closing, I would like everyone to know some facts about our international network, which you will observe during the next few days. The International Federation of Settlements Community Centers now has 128 members, with a few more to be added at our general meeting on Saturday. This is not a very large number, but within this membership are at least 12 federations in addition to individual members. These federations themselves represent more than 2,500 organizations. So in fact, IFS represents an extraordinary number of organizations across 6 continents. And as we add federations to our membership, for example, France, and now hopefully Australia, where we have visitors, our reach will increase significantly, with a goal of representing 4,000 organizations within the next 2 years. And now we have established new ties with China and Latin America. Again, thank you to the Swedish Federation for hosting this conference and to the many people who made this happen in such a successful way. I hope you have a great week.